This is La Salle College High School football on Bob Long Sports. Presented by Dunphy Ford.
Ferguson takes the snap, inside handoff. Madden has room to the 10, to the 5, dives for the end zone. Touchdown, Explorers! Side Madden, he does it again! 3 receivers out wide. Ferguson drifts that way, throws on the run, over the top, one-handed catch, made by Nick Ranella. He scores a touchdown, Ranella, with a flair for the dramatic with the left hand goes up. What's he got? Stick him on there. An incredible play and a touchdown for the Explorers.
Let's send you to the broadcast booth for the Dunphy Ford pregame show. We welcome you into Pennsbury High School in Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania for this production of Bob Long Sports. It's Bob Long and Adrian Fedke alongside, and this is the Dunphy Ford pregame show. Dunphy Ford is a wonderful dealership in Northeast Philadelphia. You can visit them at 7700 Frankfort Avenue or at dunphyford.com. As I mentioned, I sit here with Adrian Fedke. Chris Carabello and Dan Madden will be in right before kickoff, but Adrian is a good friend of mine from the Bitter Birds. We've collaborated in other media sections and media opportunities, and Adrian is a graduate of Pennsbury High School, has a good working knowledge of the team. We wanted to bring him on. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. This is bringing back memories, coming back to Pennsbury for the first time in a couple years, actually. But really excited to see this new offensive system. You got a new head coach in town, Dan McShane, taking over for Galen Snyder. He was here for 14 seasons before stepping down, had 4 Suburban 1 League titles, reached the state semifinals twice. So some tough shoes to fill, certainly here on the Pennsbury side.
Galen Snyder, now you went to school for 4 years here while he was coaching. What was his, I guess, legacy like at the time? Still a lot to be written for him before he retired just last year, but what does a Pennsbury graduate think of Galen Snyder and everything he brought to this program, to Falcon Field here, and the Falcon fans that stroll in now to the stadium?
Yeah, when I think of Galen Snyder, I think of ground and pound. That was always the mantra when I was in school. Ground and pound type of physical attack in the running game. Ran the ball a ton. You'd rarely see this team throw the ball more than 5 times. But now with the spread attack with Dan McShane, it'll be interesting to see as the season goes along how they implement it, because last week they only threw it 7 times, but the quarterback came in later in the game. He had a broken arm playing baseball, so they kind of brought him in slowly. He came in, and we'll see if they throw it a little bit more tonight. They like to use some 2 to 3 tight end sets in that spread attack, so that's the thing to keep an eye on tonight.
You mentioned his name is Zach DeMarcus. You mentioned he came in the second half of the last game, and he's a lefty thrower. You mentioned played baseball and got hurt. Nassan Robbins is probably the guy more than anybody else that has gotten freed because of that. Not a true quarterback, started the season at that quarterback position, and when they brought Zach DeMarcus in the second half, they moved Robbins out to the running back position, and he went wild in the second half, helping to lead their drive down in the second half, as well as DeMarcus throwing the football.
Yeah, and I also want to comment on the offensive line, because this is something to keep an eye on as well. They've been so used to run blocking and being blocking in the running game, and now you got to pass block a lot more. The guy to keep an eye on here is Maurice Stukes. This guy's a mammoth man, 6'7", 350 pounds. First team All Suburban 1 League last year, so he's been looked at by Division I schools. He's huge, and definitely a guy to keep an eye on tonight.
He will be playing at the left tackle position. Will be, I'm sure, calling his name throughout the game, as well as he'll be on the defensive line in goal line situations. Tyrone Hodges, another guy that is key for this team, Adrian, moved from the defensive line last year to the safety position and will also be a running back in goal line situations.
Yeah, he's also played some linebacker as well, so very, very versatile player on the defensive side of the ball. He's going to be asked for his leadership this season. You only have 4 starters coming back this season, 2 on the defensive side of the ball, so it's a team in transition. They're going to need his leadership and vocal skills there on the defensive side of the ball. He's the quarterback of the defense.
Dan McShane leads the squad here at Pennsbury as the alma mater is being played by what I may say is an absolutely unbelievably large band here. Was this always the case, Adrian? We have it stretching in a horseshoe from 30-yard line to 30-yard line with 2 rows deep, from saxophones to tubas to trumpets, everything in between. It's a really, really impressive display that you don't see at many high schools around this area.
Yeah, this is something they're known for. The cheerleading squad, the band, it's always been a thing here at Pennsbury. And, again, coming back here, bringing back the memories. I remember when I was here and sitting in the stands. And, you know, you don't really think about it when you're in school, but when you're out of it, it's really cool to see.
This is the Dunphy Ford pregame show on Bob Long Sports. We broadcast every La Salle College high school football game, and right now we're breaking down the opponent, the Pennsbury Falcons, here at Falcon Field, a grass field. It's kind of, you don't see it all the time anymore, but La Salle played on a grass field at North Penn last week. Now, I may say, if I may, when I was walking down the track, Adrian, they might have grown this grass out a little bit here. It's some long fescue out there that both teams are going to have to run through. Trying to slow down the game a little bit, do you think?
It's always been kind of like this. Kind of, you know, if you remember Notre Dame, when you think of Notre Dame and how long their grass is, it's kind of like the same thing here. I mean, it's always been a ground and pound type of attack. So, you know, this is how it is here at Pennsbury. And I mean, like you said, so many more teams now are using the turf kind of fields, but Pennsbury staying old school, staying to tradition. The grass out here, and it looks beautiful. It actually looks like they've cut it down since I've been
have
here.
they?
Yeah.
Wow, I would have loved to have seen it last week then. Man.
I mean, it used to be like real up there, so it's almost like playing in the rough if you think about it as a golfer. Yeah, so it's not a fairway out here. They're playing a little rough out here.
Final couple thoughts from you here, Adrian. We appreciate the time as always, and let's talk about the game last week, a 10-6 win against Frankfurt, a game where they really struggled, and it was a big goal line stand at the end. Matt Rosso was in on the big tackle that ended up being the sealer at the end. But it took that big drive in the second half to get that touchdown to beat really an undermanned Frankfurt team. If you're Pennsbury, if you're Dan McShane, I'm sure lessons to take away, and that's not necessarily the performance you expect all season long.
No, definitely not. This was an offense, actually. They looked good in the beginning. They ran for 39 yards on the first play, but struggled as the game went along. But once DeMarcus came in there, it kind of gave them a little bit of a spark. They went on that huge touchdown drive. Hodges ran it in there for the go-ahead score with 6:58 left, and they were able to hang on at the end there. So great win, 10-6 win for Pennsbury, 1-0 in the season. Might be a long year. We shall see. It's kind of a transition here at Pennsbury with Dan McShane as the new coach. They only have 4 starters returning. So we shall see, but definitely a test tonight against La Salle. So I'm interested to see if they can kind of hang around tonight.
Breaking down the opponent, the Pennsbury Falcons, with Adrian Fedke of the Bitter Birds. Give us one last plug, if you would, about your show, and thanks for coming on. We appreciate the time.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Anytime. Definitely make sure you check me out on YouTube, the Bitter Birds, covering all 4 major sports teams. Also got the Soul. Bob came on for the Soul. We cover the Union. We cover it all at the Bitter Birds. And also our website launches next week, thebitterbirds.com. So stay tuned for that as well. Adrian Fedke, thank you for having me on.
You got it. That's Adrian. I'm Bob, and we'll be back on the other side with Dan Madden and Chris Carabello previewing the La Salle Explorers coming into this matchup tonight.